Hi, and welcome to A Journey Beyond Business as Usual, a series helping you to slow down to speed up. Here, we explore paths beyond business as usual to inspire business leaders, as yourself, to expand your capacities, build better business, and co-create a better future. This is the Journey Beyond Business as Usual.
And during the pandemic, Harvard Business Review reached out to me and said, would you be willing to write a book effectively on the neuroscience of leadership and emotion? And I said, absolutely. This was really the idea to speak to some of the world's most powerful people, the world's most influential people, to have an intelligent conversation about emotion, I thought was so meaningful. You know, I think what's happening in the emotional landscape is I think that, first of all, there's been tremendous progress. But I would say there's kind of two main camps of emotion. The first is people who say emotion doesn't matter. Like, keep your emotions at home, leave them at the door. Like, and even if people aren't directly saying that, that's kind of the truth of what they're feeling. So I call that kind of the emotional avoidance camp, okay? This is actually, if you think about what's actually happening, you know, emotions are a biological energy, right? The reason I can do my fMRI or EEG research is only because of the electrochemical properties of the brain. So they absolutely are electrochemical energies. So if I constantly deny hunger, I constantly deny fatigue, I constantly deny thirst, like, that's going to lead to dysfunction in the body, yes? If I'm constantly avoiding or denying emotion, there's going to be a consequence to that, okay? So this is actually chronic emotional avoidance by leaders is a form of nervous system dysregulation. The other side of that coin is I think now more and more people are talking about emotion. And there's sometimes I think people are starting to say there's too much emotion. People are upset about everything. People are, you know, hurt about everything. People aren't resilient about enough things. Well, if you think about it, even though the expression looks different, having hyper-emotionality or having hypo-emotionality, they're both dysregulated states of the nervous system, yes? So what we need to do is have leaders who really understand emotions, really understand emotional intelligence, have this kind of emotional balance that's very, very powerful.
So how would you describe that emotional balance?
I think
in a leader.
For the leader, him or herself to have.
Yeah.
So there's so much to be said about this. I think, you know, I really start off Energy Rising in this way is I think what happens, I think when I was in Denmark, the host of the event that kept saying this was a very useful metaphor that I write about in the book, so I'll use it here. A very good way to think about the human experience is we have three energetic engines that drive us. The first is an engine of behaving, like it takes energy to behave in the world, yes? An energy of thinking. We all know that thinking takes energy, and an energy of feeling. What happens is, imagine I was gonna build, I don't know, like a big aircraft, and I said, I have a really great idea. I'm going to take these three engines and I'm going to have two engines pointing in this direction, and then I'm going to have another engine going in the exact opposite direction. I'm not an engineer, and I would say that would be a terrible idea. It sounds very, very ineffective. Like you're not going to really make any progress. You're going to burn a lot of energy and not really go anywhere. So in another context, we clearly see why the math on that makes no sense. But what a lot of us are doing, if we really introspect, is we start to see, this is very interesting, I'm thinking or feeling in this direction and behaving in the exact opposite direction. So for example, I'm in a meeting and I'm thinking to myself, that sounds like a terrible idea. But then I open my mouth and I say, that sounds like a great idea. Or I'm feeling very exhausted and I'm feeling like I've had enough and I'm feeling like it's time to say no. What do? I say, oh, sure, I'll do that, right? And so can we do that one time? Can we do that 10 times? Can we do that 100? Absolutely. Human beings are naturally very resilient. But one of the things I think is very interesting for leaders to understand is we kind of know that chronic stress tends to be worse for the biology than acute stress. So if I'm consistently ignoring the feeling system, the feeling engine in my body and behaving in the exact opposite direction. People love to say emotions are so confusing. Emotions are not confusing. They're a very simple, primitive language. What ends up happening is very mathematical. So if I am driving in this way and driving in that way, over time, I'm going to feel, and I think a lot of leaders are going to recognize these words: burnt out, fatigued, uninspired, unmotivated, disengaged. This is the very logical behavioral consequence of long-term avoidance of the energy of emotion.
Yeah. Visit ElisabetLagerstedt.com to continue your journey. There, we explore paths beyond business as usual to inspire business leaders as yourself to expand your capacities, build better business, and co-create a better future. You can also sign up for the newsletter to learn more. Thanks for being part of the journey beyond business as usual. If you found this interesting, please share it. Thank you.